Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Hard Talk with Reception. That show where we delve a little deep and try to understand the sentiments surrounding business owners in the hospitality industry. Today, we're speaking with Mr. Don Thomas. He is at the head of some of Bangalore's most popular entertainment brands, such as Steppin' Out, Rises Obliquity, and VRO Hospitality. And as the head of VRO Hospitality, he is also the owner and operator of Bangalore's most popular pubs and restaurants, such as Hangover, Badmash Lounge, and Nevermind. Don has spent his career in curating personalized nightlife experiences for the young metropolitan crowd that is in our very own Bangalore city. So, with no further ado, here's Don. First, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm all right, Don. I mean, the indoors are certainly worse than the outdoors, that much I can tell you. But what to do? I mean, I think everyone just needs to sort of comply and stay put. How's
Matter
everything
of
going
time,
with
matter of
you?
time. Uh, Not too bad. I mean, we were working till the lockdown. I mean, we were trying to improvise. We were trying to think of, new things to do. We had a lot of things planned,
Right.
but a lot of unexpected turn of events. I mean, the way Bangalore was, I think 3 weeks back, nobody would have
Yeah.
expected the position we are in today.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we were actually, I think June, we were all ready to, open all our restaurants,
I see.
and
Okay.
suddenly this happened.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, the government actually kind of hinted, to get ready,
Right.
and we had our renewals, we had our license renewals all done. We were just waiting to open, and then suddenly, things took a big
Yeah,
turn.
that sucks. I
I
mean,
mean, I think it's necessary. I mean, it doesn't make sense right now.
sure, sure.
We'll probably have to wait it out and see.
Sure. So, Don, I want to sort of get right into it. I do have, a bunch of questions that I've kind of curated for this quick chat. So, first and
Yeah.
foremost, Don, I want to open this conversation by asking you how you are. How are you as an individual business owner at the head of all of these businesses? Of course, that puts you in a position of great responsibility. So, how are you? How have you been handling this? How has this entire situation been treating you as such?
Uh, I think the whole drama started sometime in March. I think every business owner goes through three phases. Uh, the first is denial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the second is probably, you're completely down, you don't know what to do. And then the third is acceptance and kind of trying to move on. So when this whole thing happened in March, I mean, it was still very unclear as to what would happen. The Initially we thought, okay, a couple of months and then we should be fine. Even taking a hit as a business owner for a couple of months was, it is tough, especially
It
when you
is.
have,
Yeah.
I think we have close to about 350 people working for us in
Right.
across all our restaurants, and it was tough. And as time progressed, we kind of learned how. I mean, we understood the seriousness of the situation. We knew
Yeah.
this is something which was there to stay. So that's when
Yeah.
we had to take a lot of, like, every business owner has had to take very very hard calls, like calls
Absolutely.
which you didn't necessarily want, like to take, or would have never taken in different circumstances, but everyone
Yeah.
had to kind of accept things and take those calls. And every month it's a new challenge every month. I mean, you don't know.
Absolutely.
We were planning to start something last month, and then suddenly the lockdown unexpectedly happened last week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very important that we stay positive. I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot of people I can see are, very very demotivated by this. So it's something which we
Yeah.
have to accept and something which we have to
Yeah.
live with. So I think uh, that's how our attitude is towards this.
Yeah. See, I'm glad you bring up the point of the real importance and need to stay positive, and I completely agree with you in terms of the way you broke it down, that there are three phases that the business owners go through. Number one being denial. Hey, nothing's wrong. I mean, this is gonna get over in a week, so
Yeah.
we will continue to do whatever we're doing as we have been doing it all this while.
Yeah.
And second is, you sort of you are in that sort of down mode, and you're just like, hey, what's going on? And my plans are not working out. And I think that based on what you said, I think the focus should be on point three, wherein you've understood it, you've analyzed it, you know that it's a bad scene, but then there's no point sitting and wallowing about it. So what can we do? And I think that having positivity as a mindset is a great sort of catalyst to actually pull up your socks and try to figure out what to do and what next and how how to innovate. So that's great, and
Yeah,
I'm glad that we've sort of struck that chord in the beginning of the conversation itself.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what is your take on the state of the current? The state of the industry overall, Don, at this point of time.
I think hospitality along with tourism are probably the worst affected industries.
Absolutely,
Uh,
yeah,
and initially it came to a complete halt. Now I think with small restrictions, people have actually, I mean, we are allowed to open with a lot of restrictions.
yeah,
And it really didn't make sense. I think a lot of restaurants opened during this time and the government allowed them to, and I didn't see a lot of people coming out. So
yeah.
right now, I'd say the situation is pretty bad, but it can't rain forever. I mean, it is going to get
Absolutely,
better. So
absolutely.
right now, I think what I know, what I've noticed in Bangalore is probably the stronger, the bigger chains, like the more experienced people who've been in this industry for some time.
Yeah.
They're taking the right calls. They're taking good decisions. I think they're doing what they have to sustain for the next couple of months. Uh, People who are a little more inexperienced in this industry are kind of most of I'd say about 45% of the restaurants which in Bangalore are going to shut down or have shut down.
Right,
So,
right.
and those are mostly people who have just started, started new restaurants and
Yeah,
who aren't too, experienced in this field.
sure.
So it's like I said, it's all about the mindset. It's about going through this time. I mean, restaurant industry is the worst affected industries.
Yeah,
Uh, it's a matter of time. I think we will eventually bounce back. So
that's great.
people are just whoever can hold up through this tough times. It's going to be a couple of months, or
Sure.
even more than a couple of months. But
Yeah, I
like I
think
said,
I think that may be a little
yeah,
bit of a harsh reality that it may not just be a couple of months; it could be more. And I mean, of course, going further into the conversation, we will try to uncover, what can be done in this time also. So,
yeah,
based on this one, you said this interesting thing that some of the bigger players, some of the more experienced guys, are number one still in the game, and number two are taking the right decisions, right? So, do you think that this is attested to just experience, but also the fact that a lot of, especially if they're big chains, right? They do come with VC money. They do have deeper pockets as well. So, do you see something like finance and experience, and more so finance being, a strong indicator of whether, survival can happen or not?
yeah. I think money does play a big role. I mean, uh, there are a lot of factors which you have to account when your business shuts down. One is, say, your landlord. I think it's easy to break it down. Your landlords, your vendors, and your staff.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it has to be a balance of both. I mean, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you can just pay
of
your rent,
course,
pay your salaries, pay this thing. It's all about balance. So
of course.
I think what the more experienced people have done. I think you said money. If you had to kind of weigh in money and experience, I'd say experience comes first because
Sure.
it's all about how you handle your landlords. It's all about how you take the decision with your staff, explain to your staff what is happening, and they
Yeah,
do understand. Same goes with
absolutely.
landlords. I mean, it's something which is, I mean, it's affected us most, but it's affected the whole world. So people are
Absolutely.
being understanding. I think the first month of the lockdown kind of went in negotiating with landlords and with your staff, with your vendors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's all about reassuring them that things will go back to normal, and after that, life will be the same again. So just for this particular period, uh, I'll tell you what I told my landlord. Like, I'm going to be there with you for the next 6 years. I just need you to be
Yeah.
there with me for the next 6 months.
Great.
So I
Yeah.
think people have been understanding, and I think if you strike that balance between finance and your experience, I think you can get through this time.
That's great. I mean, experience being a driving factor of whether I have money or not. If I'm experienced, I know how
Yeah,
to use it. I know
yeah,
how to use it. I know when to use it, and I know what kind of language I need to speak with the people that are part of the ecosystem. That's great.
yeah.
So, Don, I just wanted to ask you, how are you managing to be functional today with, hangover, badmash, and never mind in terms of just capacity and cost cutting and things like that?
See, we didn't open. I think the government gave us the option to open, with a lot of
Okay.
restrictions. And
Mm-hmm.
stop. You need to shut your restaurant at 8 o'clock. You're not allowed to serve liquor, and
Yeah.
more so, my brands being a little more bar oriented rather than dining. So that's why we took a collective call that it didn't really make sense opening, and uh, I think that was the right call we took. I think
Sure.
the
Sure.
people who opened as well, at least the bars which opened, I think your brands which were a little more restaurant oriented did decently well for some time. But the bars which opened didn't do too well. So I
Sure.
think it's for us, it instead of piling up our overheads on over what it already is, we thought it's better to take a call to just keep our costs as low as possible, just sustain
Right.
over the next couple of months, and see how it goes. I mean,
Right.
we've kind of budgeted what our expenses is after negotiating, after all our dialogues with all our vendors, staff, and the landlords. We kind of figured out a budget which is required to kind of sustain over the next couple of months,
Right.
and it makes sense for us to open only once things get better.
Sure. So, I mean, I mean, you've probably already answered this, but you didn't sell liquor and beer and things like that. When I remember that there was a point of time where the government said that, hey, if you are a bar or if you are a pub, you can sell, full bottles of liquor at MRP and things like that. I'm assuming that you guys did not take that option.
It didn't make any sense. I mean, I think the government did this to help with cash flow. I mean, nothing else.
Yeah.
But for us, I mean, the price which we pay the KSBSL, I mean, what we pick up from the KSBSL, if we pass it on to the customer, I mean, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time, luckily, we didn't have large cash expenses at that time. So our
Right.
cash flow was relatively okay. So we decided not to do that.
All right, great, cool. So, what kind of major challenges do you foresee going forward in regards to the physical venues itself? Obviously, customers need to actually touch things once they're there and those kind of things, with regards to your staff and just in-venue safety overall.
Like I said when we started the conversation, I mean, we were mentally prepared to open in June,
Okay.
and uh, there were a lot of we had to adapt quite a bit. So in terms of sanitization, in terms of contactless dining, I think the number of companies which suddenly popped up offering contactless dining was I think we were approached by more than 15 or 20 companies
I
to
see,
implement that,
okay.
and in fact our own POS system, which never they kind of improvised. The POS system which we used kind of improvised and started their own contactless dining experience. So we got
Right.
everything ready in terms of you know spacing our tables, in terms of
Yeah.
sanitizing our place, in terms of fumigation, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
we actually put CCTVs in our kitchen and decided to stream our
Got it.
the kitchen to make the customers feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But looking at the way things are going, I'd say we are peaking right now in Bangalore.
Yeah.
It and what everybody says, and what we've noticed all around the world, it has to go up to come down. So the next couple of months is going to be. I don't see anything opening up for the next say 2 to 3 months, and then probably
Right.
when the cases start coming down is when people would feel a little more comfortable, and that's when contactless dining and the your sanitization, how
Yeah.
safe you make the place. And what I've noticed is and what a lot of these third party people have said is and they did a survey, a lot of these big third party F&B apps did the survey, and they actually customers said that they feel comfortable going to two places which are
Mm-hmm.
slightly bigger, which
Okay.
have a lot more space, and
Yeah.
coupled with people with brands that they know, like the
Yeah.
established brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I that probably is going to be what the customer's mindset is. I mean, I completely agree with what they say.
Absolutely. So, I
So
mean, yeah,
yeah,
so going, going on that sort of thought process, I think that what you're trying to say is that the relationship between a customer, or rather the pre-existing relationship between a brand and a customer, is so paramount today. You know, it's so important, wherein that established trust is already there, and therefore they don't mind. You know, even if it is some, going far so far as to say to take a risk and come there, they're okay to do it so long as it's a brand that they already know, and it's and like you said, if it's a nice spacious place, they know that that brand has the capacity to make sure that the place is safe for them to dine in as well.
yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, I mean, I think you've sort of already answered this, but just to dive a little deeper in that, has your support system been considered during this time? I'm talking about your landlords, your vendors, your staff, and all of that. And how challenging was it for you to actually break this, news to them?
See, I think the main obstacle which we faced is are the landlords. I mean, with
Yeah,
regard, I'll go step by step. So first,
yeah,
staff, we had to take a lot of hard calls where we had to let go of a lot of service staff. I mean, we kept them
yeah.
on board for the first month and then 45 days, and then we saw that this wasn't going anywhere, and
Mm,
most of our employees are not from the state. They're all immigrants.
yeah.
So once more like 80% of them left even without telling us. I mean, they were
I
scared for
see.
their lives.
Yeah.
uh, and but the higher staff also, I mean, we kept back who we thought were required, because we didn't see anything opening up for at least 6 to 7 months, and we're, I think,
Mm,
on in our fourth month right now. So with regards to staff, they were understanding. They weren't they didn't complain too much. They understood the
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
We tried to help them as much as possible. We Whoever couldn't go back, they were left in our staff quarters, where we took care of their food and other things.
Yeah.
So staff was not too hard to handle, but it was very, people who worked with you for years,
I
seeing
understand.
them,
Yeah.
yeah, seeing them go was very, very hard.
Yeah.
Vendors were also pretty understanding. We struck a chord with them. I mean, vendor payments go on cycle. So what happened was that particular 45-day cycle got missed. So we didn't have
Yeah.
a lot of problem with vendors. Landlords is where it got tricky.
Yeah.
But I think, like, the landlords went through the same three phases. They went through denial, and then they finally had to accept it.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
knew that they wouldn't be getting any new business for a long time. So a lot of people, I think we stuck to one particular uh, formula for all the landlords, which they kind of agreed on. And yeah, I think they're waiting for this to go. I mean, they're waiting as
Yeah.
eagerly as us that they
Yeah,
start
yeah,
picking up.
yeah. I mean, everyone's pretty much on the same. I think everyone, irrespective of whether you're a business owner or a worker, doesn't matter. Like, no one likes coronavirus. No one wants
Yeah,
this around anymore. Everyone's eager to get out of it. And with
yeah,
regards to your landlord, I completely agree. I think that, once they've reached that acceptance stage, for them, it's like,
yeah,
they can literally see that, the shutters are down. I mean, I don't think
yeah,
it's realistic of them also to
yeah,
expect any sort of returns from that after one point, especially once
yeah,
the
yeah,
acceptance phase has come in, right?
yeah.
So, what kind of ripple effect do you see, Don? I mean, right now we have today's situation, but of course, all of this, it's like a butterfly effect. Whatever's happening today is going to have like a direct effect of what the situation is going to be tomorrow. What do you think the ripple effect of this entire thing is going to be?
I think the market share in F&B is going to be much, 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 much smaller. I think we saw a lot of new places opening in 18 from 2018 to 2020. Like, there was a new, it became uh, it became something cool to do,
Yeah,
starting an
yeah,
F&B brand.
yeah, yeah,
So uh, that kind of diverted the market. So what I predict is, say, about 40 to 50% of places are going to shut. At least the people
mhm,
who did this as a side hobby, who didn't
yeah.
really, depend on this too much, they wouldn't take this headache. I think once this whole thing passes off, I think uh, the circle of F&B is going to be much, much, much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
and I think you're gonna have only the quality and the really good brands
Yeah,
which
yeah.
which stand out in probably in 2021.
I think that, on that note, it would be safe to say that hospitality itself, once all of this is blown over, is going to be much more curated, and you're going to have like
Yeah,
actual experienced players, delivering these kind of experiences. It's not going to be
yeah,
these one-off things. Because, so I live in Indranagar, right? As a person who owns Hangover in Indranagar, also, I agree with you. You have so many new restaurants just sort of popping up, and they disappear within the year.
yeah,
And I think a lot of that is attested to the fact that a lot of these are secondary businesses for people. They work somewhere, they made a lot of money. It is a glamorous thing to open up
yeah.
your own
It is.
restaurant.
It's the
Yeah,
most glamorous line of work.
exactly, right. So, and you have beautiful ambience, and people go there and wow, this guy owns this place and things like that. I think that what you're saying is right. That's not going to happen very much in the future as such. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So, Don, with the industry itself now, be it experienced players or one-off players as well, what kind of support do you think the industry could use now? And when I say support, it comes from the entire ecosystem. Could be your customers, it could be again your landlords and vendors, probably even what sort of government support. What kind of support do you think would actually make things a lot better now?
Every time the finance minister went live, like I know I saw the restaurant group saying that okay, fine, today
Yeah,
there's going to be something announced. There's going to be something announced, but nothing. I mean, there was zero support from the
yeah,
government. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't blame them as well. I mean, restaurants and bars being a cliche in India was one of the I didn't expect much from the government, but if I had to say expect something from the government, it would be a little more support in terms of taxes.
right.
Right now the biggest problem in F&B is the GST which we charge customers isn't claimable, so we don't get input GST, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we're paying GST just out of our pocket. So say
Right.
collectively about 6% of your any other business, like I have my event business, GST doesn't matter too much to us because we it's a
Yeah.
input and output system. So
Correct.
we
Yeah.
were really praying. I mean, I think every restaurant owner was praying for that particular that particular law to be tweaked a little,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't get anything in return. Apart from that, I think a lot of F&B outlets are on have taken loans from banks.
Yeah.
We expected some waiver of in I mean reduction of interest
Yeah.
waivers,
Yeah.
and this moratorium. I mean, we didn't get anything in specific from the government. So probably that, I mean, we would have been very happy if we got something
Yeah.
like that. Apart from that, customers, I like I said, I just want everyone to be positive. I mean, it's stormy now, but
Yeah.
it's not going to rain
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And landlords, I mean, to each their own. The problem with landlords, it's not a umbrella. It's each
Yeah.
individual to its own.
Right.
So few are understanding, few are not. But to those who are not, I really hope that I really hope you understand the situation better. And
Yeah.
we're here to support you. We're there with you, but as long as you stay with us for this particular amount of time.
Absolutely. I think that right now it's very important to make sure that it's everyone's on the same boat. If I'm suffering, I know that the guy who's taken up my space, my tenant, is also suffering. And if a customer is unable to go out, they also need to understand that the businesses, it's not like they're shut down on purpose or it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
their own. Yeah, I mean, the whole. I think that one good thing is that everybody understands that this is like an unprecedented situation. So expectations just cannot be there. You can't have like flat expectations anymore. And I think that
yeah,
empathy is very very important. Empathy, and in terms of brand to consumer relationships, positivity is extremely important. Like you said,
yeah,
I think it's important that consumers rest assured that all these brands will be back to deliver experiences, to deliver service soon
yeah.
enough, right? That's great. What are you focusing on now, Don? Since seeing it that dine-in has been impacted, I do know that Stepping Out is doing a couple of things, but apart from that, is there anything else that you and your team are looking into?
Uh, in terms of hospitality, I think we've started a few cloud kitchen brands. which are kind of unique to the market. We kind of took the first 2 months to kind of research and find, there's cloud kitchen, like I said, there's cloud kitchen brands now opening up
Yeah,
everywhere. So we wanted to
yeah,
kind of we wanted to curate a very different type of kitchen. So, and we since we already have the infrastructure in place, we are launching a couple of cloud kitchens in the next coming week.
right.
Apart from that, in terms of innovations, we were looking at other like-minded people, like-minded chains for mergers, for
Right.
to support each other, to see how things could work that way. Uh, I think, yeah, that's probably what we were doing. And apart from that, I think this whole lockdown and shutting of restaurants gave us time to like look back and see what mistakes we were doing wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
we had a chance to kind of uh, all the bars, like we have 5 bars which we own right now,
yeah.
and everything came by chance.
I see. Okay.
One, two, three, four, five. I mean, it just there was no structured growth to it.
Got it. Got it.
So after having 5 places, we kind of restructured our entire organization.
Right.
We saw how we could cut costs, make a central team,
Hmm.
centralize purchases, centralize marketing, centralize all the things which should have been done, but we
Yeah,
didn't have a chance to do because business was up and running.
of course.
So I think that way the lockdown really helped us, look back and kind of structure our entire organization much better, and put the pathway for growth in the future.
That's great. I mean, that's definitely looking at the silver lining.
Yeah,
In terms of, hey, I'm at home now, I have so much of time to think, and of course there are a lot of things to think about, and it's great to know that I'm sure just like you, several other businesses, probably people who are watching this also, have these kind of insights and have sort of taken a step
yeah,
back to just look at the big picture and see where else and what these gaps are and how to fill them. So
yeah,
Don, I just want to take one or two questions from the comment section. I mean, I think a lot of people
sure,
are trying to ask a couple of questions. So we have
yeah,
Karan Bora, who is asking, seeing it that you predict that 40 to 50% of established restaurants are already going to shut down. Do
yeah.
you think that this is actually going to sort of pave the way for new entrants? Do you think that there are going to be new people coming in and trying to capture this dearth, so to speak?
Not immediately, but yeah, in the future, definitely. I think a couple of months down the line, as just before the lockdown, I think we had 4 projects which were, in civil phase, which were coming up, and 4 really big
Okay.
projects. And
Yeah.
if if we weren't confident, we would have dropped it immediately. But we decided
Right.
to kind of go ahead with it, seek more time from the landlords and stuff like that. And yeah, I really think it's an opportunity for new players to come in. uh, Now you have the time. I mean, you have a lot of people
Yeah.
just open restaurants without just looking, just go,
Yeah. Yeah.
just taking it as it goes. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people have time now. I mean, I'm looking forward to like new brands coming in, and I'm really looking forward to the established brands stepping up as well, and
That's great.
doing
That's
well.
great. Right,
Yeah.
right. Just want to take another one from the comment section. So, what kind of innovation do you foresee? Sorry, do you foresee coming out of this? Like such as taking away of alcoholic beverages. I know that some brands are actually giving away, just marinades and raw meat and like a recipe chart where you go home and cook and things like that. Do you one see more innovation on these lines happening, and two, do you think that these innovations will continue even once things come back to normal?
See, from what I know, I mean, running the scale of business we do, these small things wouldn't really, I mean, contribute too much to your final P&L. It's something
Got
which
it.
you like. We did something like this. It's something which we do more so to kind of engage our audience, to let them
Yeah.
know that we're still here. The revenue is almost nil. So what we did in terms of innovation is, we were, I think, sometime in June or the end of May, we kind of curated experiences for people at home. So with our brand
Mhm.
Nevermind, if you wanted
Yeah.
a date, if you wanted to have a date at home,
Yeah.
we'd curate a 3 course meal. We
Wow.
would
Okay.
we would send our butler
Right.
to
Right.
come give you that experience of, we'd send our tableware, we'd send our mats, we'd send our tablecloth, and we'd
Nice.
kind of
Okay.
curate this experience for people at home. and this was done not with the intention of making money or anything
Understood.
like that. This was done purely out of just engaging customers, letting people know that we're there,
Sure.
letting people know that we're not dead. We're still innovating. We're trying to like do things to keep people engaged.
Right.
uh, these kind of secondary businesses wouldn't really, I mean, it's good for PR. I mean, it's good,
Yeah.
it's only good in that sense.
Yeah.
I don't think a business could kind of
Yeah.
sustain with
So,
this.
sort of to sum it up, what you're saying is that all of these innovations are great, and it's great for this current moment just to sort of make noise as a brand, just to let people know that hey, we're still here and we still care about you. We are still working and doing things for you. And in terms of
Yeah,
post-COVID and once things are back to normal, it can still happen, but not.
it
It's
can
not
still
going to.
happen.
Yeah, it can still happen, but not with the intent of making money. That would be like literally a
Yes,
marketing budget that you're putting aside as such.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's quite a unique insight. That's amazing.
yeah.
So now, Don, I actually want to talk to you about something that's more akin to your brands and you guys as a business, which would be nightlife, right? So, in
Yeah.
your opinion, what do you think nightlife is going to look like in Bangalore once things are back to normal? Do you think that is going to be very different from the past?
Again, it's a very difficult question to answer because we don't know. I mean, I'm expecting things to be completely fine, say by 2021, March
Mhm.
2021. I'm hoping things would
Right.
get better by then. If things are completely fine, I think there'd be a overflow of people. If you notice what
Right.
happened in when the bars open in UK, all
Yeah.
my friends in UK, you know what happened. There was a
Yeah. Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
waiting for 7 or 8 days. But having said that,
Right.
I mean UK culture is very different. I mean here you have your Shanti Sagas, your Udupis, your everything. In UK,
Understood.
all you have is your bars. So
Yeah.
I see uh, it taking a very good turn for F&B once things get back to normal. Even nightlife, I think people will stay positive. I think they will get over this fear in probably about 5 to 6 or 8 months because it's something
Yeah.
you can't hide forever. Like people will
Absolutely.
get back to normal.
In fact, there are a
Eventually.
lot of sorry, yeah. In fact, there are a lot of studies. There was this one doctor from some university in Madurai, and he's like a very, very reputed epidemiologist. And
Yeah,
he was very much of the opinion that eventually the panic is going to go away. In fact, today we are so much less in terms of a panic mode as compared to let's say March and April, where the
yeah,
actual COVID numbers were itself low. And
yeah.
he says that it's a natural process that people will start to huddle automatically. And at that point of time, what happens is, the human body it builds up a herd immunity. So in a way,
Yeah.
it's almost to say that it is important
It
that
has to go up. It
it
has to
has
go
to
up
go
to
up.
come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has to go up. So I mean, that's great. It's good to know that nightlife as such will it's taken a lull now, but it will come back and probably it'll come back in a much bigger fashion than ever before.
it's not a short time.
Probably
Yeah, it's not a short time. I think this whole outbreak kind of
exactly.
started happening in Feb. We're almost about
Yeah, yeah,
6 or 7 months into it, right?
yeah.
So it's almost going
People
to
are
be a
yearning
year.
to get out.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
It's going to
yeah,
be. It's on another 3 or 4 months. It's going to be a year. So people are
yeah.
going
That's
to
crazy.
get out eventually. Yeah,
That's insane. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have some sort of prediction as to when this whole thing is going to blow over? And when I say when this thing is going to blow over, I'm obviously not talking about when there's going to be a vaccine and people are going to get better, but the whole idea that first of all, general panic is done, and secondly, people are ready to congregate in restaurants and pubs and clubs and things like that. Do you have some sort of prediction on this?
Uh, just gut feeling.
Just a gut feeling, yeah.
I'd say December.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll probably
I'm
be one
hoping
of
for
the guys
December.
out there in December.
Yeah,
Because,
that's
yeah, I
what I think. We have
mean,
another 4 months, right? Four or 5
yeah,
months. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
I'm
mean, that
hoping
is,
December. I'm hoping 2020 is just this really bad year that that is going to pass us, and I think December 31st is going to be a huge party all over the world.
that's great. I hope that that actually happens. But I mean, again, it's speculation. Only time will have to tell. But then, I think I can. I think we can both safely say that in terms of sentiment and what people want, people definitely want to go out. I mean,
Yeah,
this is just common when even when I'm just talking to my friends and stuff, they're just so like, they want to go out. They want to be able to dress up, get the hell out, and
yeah,
meet others as well. So just in terms of what people want, I think you're absolutely
yeah.
spot on with that. So with regards now, we've spoken about, hey, you know what, all of this is going to get better. It's going to happen, right? But then the road to that is quite a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So what sort of challenges do you see? You as an entertainment business owner, what kind of challenges do you see in this marathon to back to normalcy? Excuse me.
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to say, but uh, I really don't. I mean, it's just assumptions. You know,
Yeah.
we're just hoping that the cases, like I said, it will go up, and then eventually, I mean, seeing the trends, I think Europe is back to normal. UK is
Yeah.
almost back to normal. I think India, given the population we have, is going to take a much longer time.
Hmm.
I'd say the second lapse in cases, we're seeing that. Luckily, the second wave weren't too strong in the countries
Yeah.
which it hit. So
Hmm.
I think that's probably something which would definitely affect my December plan.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
hopefully we don't have anything standing in our way. But it's again,
Right.
like I
Right.
said, it's really really hard to say. And as business owners, there has to be contingencies in place for everything.
Sure.
Like I
Sure.
mean, now nothing surprises me. Nothing
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
going to surprise me. I mean, things might happen, things might not happen, but we'll have to be, yeah, keep everything in check.
I mean, I can certainly resonate with you on that notion, wherein, you just have to have these contingencies in place, number one. And number two, you have to be sort of ready for everything and sort of know. You just sort of, you very naturally know that it is going to be such a challenge to get back to normalcy. But I think that strength is very
Yeah,
important to have a strong spine. I mean, I'm sure you would agree with me that I think that one of the big challenges would be again to get the trust back. Because this panic has just sort of erased trust overall. I think that getting trust back at a very human level is going to be the biggest challenging thing, irrespective of what kind of business it is. For example, at my business, for me to get the trust back of the team that works with me, knowing that, hey, you guys always have a place to come back to. You guys, there is a lot of work to do, just livelihood and things like that. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean, a strong spine, contingencies in place, and of course, I mean, to draw on the most important point that we open the conversation with is to have a positive
okay,
mindset and attitude towards that. Right. So I think we're just about running out of time, so I'm just going to make this quick now.
sure.
So do you have any advice for someone who is yearning to start a restaurant? Probably they probably had a lot of plans pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
They probably still have these plans to open up even post the pandemic. Any words of advice?
I'd say take this time to think over it. I don't suggest opening at a time which is negative. Like I think 75% of a restaurant's success is owed to what a good start you have. Few
Yeah,
restaurants might have might have some might be different, but 75% or 80% of them, I'd say, is attributed to its start. So it doesn't make sense opening when the general morale is low. So I'd
yeah.
say take your time, plan this out better for yourself, and open when people are excited to get out.
Absolutely. That makes sense. That definitely makes
Yeah,
sense. So for our viewers, if anyone watching is, having the entrepreneurial bug in you to open up a restaurant, there you have it. That's some word of advice from one of the top players in the industry. I hope that helped. And finally, Don, I just wanted to ask you, there are definitely a lot of people watching who are your patrons themselves, people who go to Hangover quite often. I'm one of your patrons as well, right? So never mind Hangover, but Marsh Lounge. Any sort of words, anything that you want to tell them as such?
like I said, it might be rainy now, but it's not gonna rain forever. So just hang in there.
That's great.
We're coming back. I mean, there's a lot of things which we're planning for you guys. I mean, in terms of innovating, we're taking our time to really, kind of elevate customer experiences when things come back. We have a lot more brands, lot more exciting brands which we are opening, which are definitely going to make a mark in the city. So we're just waiting to welcome you guys again.
That's nice. I mean, that's great news for me itself, just as your customer itself. So that's amazing. I'm pretty sure that everyone
Yeah,
who's watching is very, very happy to hear that. So, Don, I just want to play a quick game with
yeah,
you, right, before we sign off. It's considered like a rapid fire
sure,
kind of round. We call it this or that. So I'll ask you two things, and you pick either you whether you do this or whether you do that. So, so first one,
sure.
right? So, would you want to halt business if it were up to you? Would you want to halt business entirely or continue to run with restrictions in place?
Whole business and
All
open
right,
once
great.
everything is back to normal.
Sure. So let's assume that you had the option, or rather, you had a restaurant that's a proper food segment. What would you prefer, liquor and food, or just food?
Liquor and food. I mean, at least for my brands, because most of them are really, or all bars like Hangover, Nevermind, Badmash. They're a little more
Sure.
nightlife oriented. So for me, as a brand, liquor and food.
Great, fantastic. So, would you want to invest now and open at a percentage of capacity, or hold out the storm and open once things settle down? I mean, I think you already answered that in question one itself, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I guess that's that then. In terms of everything that that we wanted to talk about. Any sort of
Sure.
final words that you want to tell the audience before we sign off?
I think just what I said before. We just can't wait to welcome you guys again.
That's fantastic.
Bangalore's known to be positive, and we love our city. And Bangalore's going to be back to its vibrant self very, very soon.
That's great. That's great. All right, Don. I mean, on that note, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming online and having this chat with me. I really appreciate
Sure.
it. I know that all of this time can be spent in doing things for your own business, but for me
Sure.
personally, I think that knowledge sharing is so extremely important, especially because there's such a disparity in terms of experience in the market, and knowledge sharing is something that's going to benefit the end user, which is the consumer itself. And like you said, I think that putting out that message of Bangalore being a beautiful, vibrant city with beautiful, vibrant people in it, for people like us working on the back end, it's so fantastic that we're able to talk openly about these things, share the knowledge, and hopefully people who are watching and listening is able to implement these things in their own ventures as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right? Thanks so much, Don.
See you, Christo.
Cheers. Take care
See you.
then. Yeah. Bye bye. See
See
you.
you.
Nice talking to you.
You too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There was a fantastic conversation with Don Thomas, and I think to sum it up, first and foremost, as Don said, and I love this line, it's not going to rain forever. The storm will pass, things will come back to normal. And us being Bangaloreans, I think it's so important to, acknowledge the DNA in us, which is positivity. We will stay positive. We will do the things that we need to do to ensure that we have the paintbrush on our hands now, right? So it's up to us to paint the future at this point of time, and it starts with the mindset. So to sum it up, to have a fantastic mindset, to have a positive mindset, and I understand things may be hard, but then it will get better. And again, like Don said, and I want to sort of bring this to the forefront again, for any business owner watching, yes, there was denial, and then there is depression, and you're kind of sad about everything that's happening, but then there is acceptance. And at the time of acceptance, to be able to implement and imbibe and infuse a lot of positivity in that is what is really going to make all of the difference for the future. On that note, I will take leave. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for your patience in the beginning of the show. I knew we had a lot of technical glitches for whoever stuck with us. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. My name is Crystal Wilfred. I am one of the founders of Receptio. Please do check us out on social media. This is me signing off. Cheers. Good night. Bye bye.